Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making a tutorial on how to sew a reversible kimono jacket. So for this tutorial we are going to need two fabric. These fabrics are 2 yards each, so because we are making reversible jackets. So we are going to need our pins, we are going to need our chalk and our scissors. So if you are interested in learning this, kindly stay tuned. Thank you. So I have folded one of the fabrics into four, and I made sure that one side is opened and one side is closed. So as you can see, one side is opened like this. So the side that is opened is the front panel. So the side that is closed is the back panel. So I folded it into four. So that side is going to be the center front and center back. So the first thing we're going to do is to measure 1 inch from the beginning of the fabric and make a straight line. So that's where we are going to use as our starting point. So the shoulder measurement for this tutorial is 8.5 inches. So we're going to mark 8.5 inches. Then from that 8.5 inches, we'll come down by 1.5 inches. Then we measure the shoulder width, and the shoulder width we are using is 4 inches. So we are going to connect that 1.5 inch to the 4 inches. So that's going to serve as our shoulder slope. So once we've done that, we are just going to go ahead and measure the length of the kimono jacket we want to make, and the length we are using is 38 inches. So you are going to measure 38 inches downward. So the actual length I wanted to use is 37 inches, but I added 1 inch allowance to it, so that's why I'm marking out 38 inches. So I'm going to mark out 38 inches now and rule it, then I'll cut it off. So now I'm going to start by taking my horizontal measurements, my vertical measurements rather. So I'm going to mark out the bust point, which is 11 inches, the half length, which is 18 inches, and the hip line. My hip line is 9 inches from my half length, so I'm going to measure that. Then I'll make a straight line to connect it. So that 8.5 that I measured on the starting point, I'm going to measure it again on the bust point. So after measuring it, I'm just going to connect it together with a straight line to the slope, to the shoulder slope. So the next thing I'm going to do is to measure my bust circumference, and that is 11 less quarter. So I'm just going to mark it out. Then I will take my armhole curve and use it to form armhole. So I've already formed my armhole like that. I hope you are seeing what I'm doing. So I'm going to add 2 inches to my bust span measurements. The 2 inches is 1 inch for his and 1 inch for seam allowance. So I'm just going to measure my waist circumference measurements. Then I'm going to add 2 inches to it as well. Then I'll go ahead and measure my hips circumference measurement and add 2 inches to it as well. So I'm just going to connect those points together to each other. So now I'm going to work on my neck depth. The neck depth I'm using is 3.5 for the front panel and 2 inches for the back panel. So I'm just going to connect that to the neck width using my curve rule. So that's the front panel and that's for the back panel. So we are practically done. the next thing is to cut it out. So that's the back panel. So, and the other part is the front panel. So I'm just going to, and that's the front panel. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this same thing on the second fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut it on the second fabric, and this is how it looks. So this is the two fabrics, the two back panels, and that's for the front panel. So the thing is, I don't like how this neckline is looking, so I'm just going to give it a slight curve to give it a shape. So I'm going to trim off the excess. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is to remove the pins and start with the sewing. So before I start sewing, I'm just going to label this pattern, especially the front pattern, so I won't go and make mistake. So I'm just going to take my chalk now and label it. That's the right for the front, for the first fabric, the right and left for the second fabric. So when I'm going ahead to sew it, I'll pick the right for the front fabric and the left for the second fabric. Then I will take it to my sewing machine, making sure that the right side is facing each other. So I'm going to align it properly. After aligning it, I will start sewing from the neckline. I will sew down from the neckline down to the down part. Then I will sew the down part again, sew the side as well down to the armhole. So I'm going to do that now and bring it back to show you guys. So I've gone ahead to sew it round. As you can see, I've sewed it round. So I went ahead to sew it round, 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 round and round. But I didn't sew the shoulder because that's where we are going to turn everything out from. So the next thing is that I'm just going to notch it now. After notching, I'll just turn it to the right side. So this is it, I've turned it around. So I'm just going to go ahead now and give it a good press. Then I will repeat the same thing on the other side of the front panel. So this is it. I've done it for the two sides, and as you can see, those two sides are having different fabric. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to just set it aside. So I've set aside the front panel. Now it's time to work on the back panel. So I will place the two fabric on each other, the right side facing each other. So right side facing each other. Then after placing it on each other like so, I'm just going to go ahead to my machine now and sew it round on the neckline. So after sewing on the neckline, I'm going to go to the down part of the gown of the kimono. So on the down part, I'm just going to start sewing. Like I will sew it a bit. Remember, we sewed every part of the body for the front panel, but we are not going to do that for the back panel. So I'm just going to sew the down part like so. And after sewing it to a point, I'll back stitch and skip like 6 inches. Then I'm just going to continue sewing till the end. So I've gone ahead to sew the neckline. Then I've gone ahead to like sew the down parts, and as you can see, I skipped about 6 inches, and these 6 inches that I skipped is where we are going to turn everything out after sewing it together. So this is where the real work is. So I'm just going to open up my back panel like so, like the way I'm doing it now. So I'm going to open it up like that. Then I'll bring one side of my front panel. So make sure the side that you are placing, the side of your front panel you are placing on the back panel has the same fabric as the back panel. So if it has the same fabric and you are really following the way I've been doing it, it's going to be the same fabric and it's going to align properly. So this is how you are going to insert the front panel. So after inserting the front panel into the back panels, so I'm just going to insert the shoulder, then I'm going to cover it up and sew it. So I've taken it to my machine now. I will insert the shoulder of the front panel to the shoulder of the back panel. I'll close it up, then I'm going to sew it down with 1/2 inch. So because you've already turned the front panel, the shoulder is going to be shorter than that of the back panel. So when you get to that part where the front panel, the armhole of the front panel has finished, you will push in the armhole of the front panel, then just place the armhole of the back panel on top of each other. That way you are just going to be sewing 2 pieces and not 3 pieces. So you are just going to be sewing the back panel together. So you do it like so till you reach the end of the armhole. So once you reach the end of the armhole, you can backstitch, but I'm not backstitching, I'm just lifting up my machine. Then I'm going to reintroduce the front panel to it again. So now I'm going to have like 3 pieces to be sewing together. So I've inserted the front panel into the middle of the 2 back panels again. I hope you understand, guys. If you don't understand, just be following the video as it goes. So I'm just going to sew it down together like so. So once I'm done with this side that I'm working on, I'll go ahead and work on the other side as well. If you don't understand what I just did, please kindly go back and watch how I did it so that you will not make any mistake while sewing yours. So I'm done sewing the 2 parts. So the next thing is that I'm just going to notch every curvy part of the back panel. Remember, we notched the front panel, so we notch the back panel as well. So after notching the back panel, then that part that we left open at the down part, we will now turn everything out from that part. It's not going to be easy, and it is easy at the same time. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to turn it out on that side. So I've actually turned it out on the right side. So if you like, you can sew the down part, but I'm going to use Emi gum to gum it because I don't want to see any sewing on my fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a good press. Then I'm going to wear it for you guys to see how it looks. So guys, this is the final look of the kimono jacket. This is one side of the jacket. You can see how beautiful it looks. So I'm just going to change it to the other side now, so that you can see that it is actually reversible. So you can wear any side you want. You can pair it with a gown, skirt and blouse, or anything you have. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do well to like this video and subscribe to this channel. I will see you in the next one. Bye.